Little Miss Recap contains adult language and is intended for entertainment purposes only. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Little Miss Recap, the podcast where I thought I couldn't hate Sam more, Tess, but guess what? Guess what? Guys, I'm Amye Archer. I'm your host. I'm here with Tess Brigham from Psych Legal Pop podcast. Good morning,
Yes.
Tess.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
I am good. I have a lot of feelings.
Are you raging over Sam?
Yes. I think I'm raging a bit more over Kat.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's really hurting my Freddie.
She is.
And I really I love Freddie. And I'm like, oh, Kat, you've got a lot of work to do. You were not ready to come on the show.
Do you think Freddie is, like, just talking broad strokes before we get into it, do you think Freddie is, like, is he too good to be true? Because I feel like he kind of might be.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, you'd be surprised. It's interesting because I've had some clients over the years and I'm like, this guy is such a cutie. Like, he's with women and, you know, what's going on. And there are various reasons why they were, you know, struggling with relationships and struggling to figure things out for, you know, some of it's maturity and some of it's something else. So I get the sense that Freddie is a very quiet, introverted person who he spends his days, like, he has to go to the gym twice a day. So that's a lot of work.
There's a lot of whey protein happening too.
So there's a lot of, like, maintaining your body, doing all those kinds of things. And then, you know, he has his full-time job and then he has his family that I think that he probably doesn't have a ton of time, or he's not out at the bars, I think.
What must it be like? Like, I can't even imagine a world where you're just so hot and you're so successful. Like, you don't even dating's not even on my radar. Like, what?
But I think it was on his radar. I think that was the thing that was missing in his life. Yeah.
She's not the one though.
I know. I was hoping, but Kat is, boy, talk about, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the phrase? Just like shooting yourself in the foot to despite your face. Or she is self-sabotaging this.
Yes, she is.
Nth degree. And
like, everybody watching is like, dude, look what you got here. What are you doing?
Yes.
Speaking of, to go back to Sam, speaking of narcissist, I didn't listen to your episode yet, but I understand that you put out an episode about the season 19 trailer for Sister Wives.
Yes, exactly. Because Amy, I want to know, what did I do to deserve this?
Oh my God. Like, seriously, dude?
That's your first line?
Ooh. Cody.
Yeah.
I'm nervous about how they're going to handle this season, but I'm also really excited for it because I'm here to watch Janelle taking shots and burning everything down.
Yes, absolutely. No, it was, I don't know. I haven't listened to your all's trailer of it either because I wanted to keep my ideas. I don't listen to anybody else until I want to keep my ideas fresh.
Raw Dog and Love is Blind.
Oh yes, that too. But yeah, it's unreal. But at the same time, I'm like, I kept asking Brooke, I'm like, what time is it? Like, where are we? Are we in 2022? 2022? I'm so confused. I wish they would give us chyrons to tell us, like, the time frame, because I just need to know when this is.
Well, I think so. We see them at an event, which I have been told by people is Gwendolyn's engagement party. So that's where that event
where
is,
the babies,
the balloons and the babies and
See, we were debating that, and I was saying, "Oh, I thought that was the birth of the twins." And Brooke's like, "No, that time frame is wrong." And then she said, "Well, do you think it's Gwen's like a shower or whatever?" And she's like, "But it's a lot of pink balloons, and Gwen doesn't seem like someone who would really want someone decorating a bunch of pink. It doesn't feel like her vibe."
Yeah. So I think that was because I remember Gwen talking on social media about her engagement party being the first time that Cody and David met.
Okay, so maybe this is it. Maybe McKelty decorated or someone else. She wasn't in charge.
Maybe Gwen had a mini stroke and just went and put a bunch of red shit in her house.
Maybe, yeah.
And so I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm excited. And, you're going to be covering it. We're going to be covering
Yep.
it. It's Sister Wives extravaganza for everyone. There's plenty of coverage to go around.
But no, it was so funny because all of a sudden I get this text message from Brooke like, oh my God, Sister Wives is back. Like she's like the trailer. And then all of a sudden it's like boom, 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 boom.
I know. I was recording, like somebody reached out to me about a project that they wanted me to be a part of. So I was recording something else and I'm like trying not to be rude, but I'm like, oh, there's breaking news. Like, can I pretend I have diarrhea or something? Like I gotta go. You don't break a Sister Wives trailer in the middle of the day.
Yes.
What are you doing?
They really just dropped that on us with no nothing.
No.
But the other, it felt very incomplete. But Brooke was right. She's much more versed in the Sister Wives world than I ever have been. So, because there's like episodes and series that I had to like blare, I really didn't get a chance to look at. So she was saying that she says, this is just the first half. She's like, they're going to come back around and give us a second half because.
Yeah, because we saw no mention of Garrison.
Yes.
And we know from the press release that they are going to cover it.
Yes.
So that will be the back half. I think she's right.
Yeah, I think that will be the back half. We were debating, will it be its own, right? I was saying maybe they might do their own special and keep it contained into one thing and then
maybe
do it however they want. Because I think trying to insert that in between conversations about Coyote Pass, I doubt they want to do that.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Anywho, but we're here to talk about Love is
ready
Blind.
to talk about this bullshit.
Yes.
Okay. So guys, we're talking Love is Blind UK episodes 5 through 9.
Yes.
Tess
I feel like,
do I have to watch all 18? I'm like, yes.
Well, it felt like everything happened, but nothing happened. Do you know what I mean? I'm like,
I agree.
I can't. I was kind of, and then things would happen. I'm like, oh wait, hold on, let me stop for a second. I really need to focus on this right now because then there's all this filler that I really cannot stand all of. I understand why they do it, but I cannot stand all of
the filler.
The way, trying on wedding dresses. It's like the same story over and over again about, oh, I always wish this, and this is like a little girl, and this is what this happened. It's like, this is great for you all, but it's not interesting to us.
Talking about it in chunks like this because it's like I just can't go through everything.
Yes,
you know what I mean, and having the same conversations and meeting the families, and if you're meeting the family like in a situation with Jasmine and Bobby where you're getting read for filth, I'm interested. But if it's a situation where everybody loves everybody, it's boring. All right, let's start with Freddie and Kat. So again, like we did the other day, I'll go through what happens and then we can talk about it. So their problems start in episode 6 when they're on a date on the beach in Greece, and Kat asks Freddie if he's ever cheated, and you see him hesitate, and he says yes. Now this guy is, how old is he?
I think 32. He's 32. Yeah.
And
so he's 25.
He says this was years ago. Years ago. So she said, did you tell the person? He said, no, she found out. And he says he regrets it, but he wanted to be really honest with her. And she does the old, and this probably drives you nuts as a therapist. Once a cheater, always a cheater.
Yeah. Yeah. Because basically you're just saying to the person, I don't believe you can change or grow, that this is something that is who you are as a person. And listen, there are some people out there that will continue, that's just, they will continue to cheat. That's who they are. But then there are a lot of people, and I'm telling you, a hell of a lot more people cheat than anyone ever knows. Trust me, I've held a lot of secrets that partners never knew, never, ever knew.
Yes.
So a lot of people cheat. A lot of people, obviously cheating's a spectrum for people. Like again, I think it's how you define it. And he was a 25-year-old man, and he was honest with you. I mean, Kat, he's damned if he does or damned if he don't.
Right, because if he said no, guess what? Reddit would have found that shit out.
Yes, and then he's not being honest with her. It's like, Kat, what do you want? Like, what do you want, Kat?
I will tell you that when I first started dating Timmy, we had a similar conversation. I don't know how it came up. It wasn't like me grilling him, but we just had this conversation. And he was very honest with me. And he said, I've cheated on a lot of people I've dated. And at first I was like, ew. But like, then I'm like, he's 27 now. He hasn't been in a serious relationship in like 3 or 4 years. So we're talking somebody in their early 20s.
Yes.
And I was like, all right, whatever. Do you know what I mean? And there's never been a blip since. Yeah. So it's like people, I think And myself too, like when I was with the wrong people, there were times where you could say I was on the spectrum of cheating.
Mhm.
I think that if you're just unhappy in a relationship in your early 20s, you don't have the maturity to be like, this isn't working for me and I need to
Yes.
leave. So you create a way to leave. Right. And
Yes.
that's, I think, what happened.
I also think, and this hasn't been really talked about so much, but I do think if we go back to, obviously masculinity has changed and it's
Mm-hmm.
grown, what we talked about last time. But at the same time, I think a lot of times, I think young men place a lot of pressure on each other
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of acceptance of the cheating. Like they keep
Mm-hmm.
those secrets with each other. And I do think that exactly what you're saying, it's very easy when you're young to be in a relationship that's not working or for whatever reason, and then get around your friends, and then this girl's flirting with you and your friends are
Mm-hmm.
egging you on. And I think, again, we don't know the circumstances of it, but it was 7 years ago. 7.
Yes.
If he said this was last year, I can understand. But
Yeah,
7?
sure. And this changes her attitude.
Oh God, yeah. She just checked out.
Oh, she is super cold. They go back to London. They're in this store. He's like joking around. Oh,
Yeah.
they have these shoes in a size 11. And she's like,
Yeah.
shut the fuck up. And then he's like petting her and she's like, don't pet me. I'm not a dog. It's real bad.
Oh, yeah.
And she admits it. She's like, I'm being cold and snippy and bitchy to him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So later she tells Maria, this was at the mixer now,
Mm-hmm.
that Freddie is not affectionate and that he said to her, you could literally walk past me buck naked and I probably wouldn't even notice. That's a problem.
Well, is that really what he said? Or is she now skewing this? And this is when I was like, this is interesting, because I think that Kat is a very beautiful woman. I think that she admits that every other relationship she's ever been in, the person has cheated on her. So that makes me think, this might be a you problem, Kat.
Yep.
Like, I'm not condoning cheating, but if you see a pattern, you need to notice that. But I think that she is someone that's really beautiful. And I think she's very, very used to men kind of falling all over her.
Yeah.
And I think that this Love is Blind was very difficult for her, right? She really she and Ollie could flirt, but she couldn't go deeper with Ollie. And I think that this is hard for her. I think she wants him to be falling all over her all the time. But then when he does give her attention, it's not the kind of attention she wants. It's kind of, he's goofy. He kind of gives her jokey, goofy, poke and prod attention. And she wants someone to like desire her all the time. But I'm like, but if all the men you've dated before have been cheating, don't you think that maybe this is the problem?
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think maybe this is the first time that she's dated somebody of equal hotness.
It could be, yes.
And she's like thrown off by this.
Yes.
Like in Seinfeld where they talk about the upper hand and she doesn't have the upper hand here. Like nobody really does. So
maybe
she's like, she's in a different world here. So she tells Maria that their love languages are quite different and it's making her lose confidence in herself. Dear God, women.
Yes.
If women who look like this don't have confidence in themselves, like what are we doing to each other? What are we doing to ourselves? It really makes me crazy.
But that's the thing, right? Which is that how confident we are in ourselves has very little to do with how we look, right? I mean, that's the other part of it too, is I think Freddie's also got some stuff too. It's a little bit of, to be that chiseled, that together. If you're not a male model, if you don't have a job that's part of that, it's like, that's interesting. That's a lot of control. Like you work with dead people, you have a lot of control.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So his family is super sweet. They go to meet them. And were you moved when he started talking about his brother? Because I was crying.
Yes. I mean, that whole thing was very sweet.
Oh my God.
Asking
his brother Jack, he asked him to be his best man. And then he tells the camera, like, I looked after Jack, but Jack has made me the person I am today. And I was like, oh God, you're a treasure. So they tell Kat that Freddie is genuine, he's loyal, and Kat shoots a look at him like, and Mom says all the old ladies in the neighborhood come running out asking me when Freddie's coming over.
I'm sure they do. I would be asking her.
When they meet Kat's parents, they're perfectly lovely. They talk about adopting her and how amazing she was. And Mom tells Kat that she needs someone to ground her. And Freddie seems like he could be that person.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Now they get to the mixer. And Kat makes some real bad decisions at this mixer.
Oh God, Kat.
Okay. she starts immediately talking about how much Sam looks like her ex.
Yes, yes. And I was like, oh, ding, 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 ding,
Yeah,
ding.
like what is going on here? And then Freddie, so she asked Freddie, well, what do you think of this? So this woman, Charlotte, comes in, and apparently Charlotte is like the golden standard of everything hot, because every guy in that place is into this woman named Charlotte. And she was just somebody in the pods. And she is beautiful, but everybody's like falling all over themselves. And so she says to Freddie, like, well, what'd you think of the other girls? And he's like, oh, well, they're nice. And yeah, they're attractive. And she's like, what? I heard you the first time. Okay. So then she decides to flirt with Sam. And I mean, flirt with Sam.
Yep.
She's like doing the Amy Archer at 1:30 in the morning after 17 glasses of sweet wine. Like, just, it's sloppy. It's obvious. It's not attractive at all. It's bad.
Well,
And
it's a
Freddie
lot of
sees it
touching
all.
him, a lot of touch. She's checking every little women flirting box for sure.
Yep. So they have dinner later, and he asks for a prenup.
Because he's starting to get a little nervous here.
And she says, I know I'm a bitch, but I was adopted, and it puts me on edge, and I was bullied because of it. And so I'm always in defense mode. And later they have lunch with her friends Dot and Tally. And I just wrote, are these real names? Are these real names?
I think they are. I mean, they're very British
too.
names.
They're very cute
Brit
people.
names. Yeah.
And Tally says they're so cute, but they get into like a fight right in front of them about Kat being high maintenance. Now, remember, Ollie did not like Kat because she started saying she went to Cirque.
Yes.
So this high maintenance thing keeps coming around.
Yes.
A little bit, which was surprising because when we met her parents, they were super down to earth.
Yeah, I mean, Kat is a really kind of perplexing person. I just feel like she needs to go do some work because I hear you that I'm not adopted, so I don't know what it's like, but someone who's adopted doesn't talk about being adopted so much. Like this is very much part of her personality. Like I was adopted.
Like come to peace with it.
Yes. Yeah. I was adopted. I was abandoned. I was this. She thinks the world's looking at her differently, and we're not. No one's looking at you differently because you were. What control did you have over that? And then it's that feeling. And then she's like, okay, well, I have to overcompensate by being beautiful. And then this person that I'm with has to pay attention to me, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. And it's like, well, yeah, Freddie's being normal. Like, I'm sure all the other guys she was with are like Sam, where they love bombed her a ton and then cheated on her behind her back.
Yeah. Sam just triggers me on so many levels. So one thing that he consistently says through this whole episode, Freddie does, is that he worries that he won't be enough for her, that he won't satisfy her. Like, you could see that deep insecurity is coming up in him. And I'm like, again, what fucking world are we in that these two people are insecure? But here we are.
Well, I think it's because I think he's probably shy and quiet and reserved. Can we talk about the prenup conversations? Because this was making me nuts. I don't know if you're going to get there or not.
No. I'm done with them, so we could chat about them generally.
So they're all having this conversation, and she goes to her girlfriends and says, he wants me to sign a prenup. And the friends are like, well, how would that work if you're together for 20 years and then you would have nothing? And I'm like, do you not know how prenups work? Like, you would sign a prenup where basically what it is, will you sign something that if we get divorced in 6 months, you're not going to take all my stuff and I'm embroiled in this?
Right. Like what you come into the marriage with remains yours, but anything you accumulate together is yours together.
Yes. And it's like, if you were together for 20 years and you had a couple kids, yes, you were entitled to things. It's not like you're just, but this prenup thing, it was almost kind of like she was willing something like this to happen. It's like, good, I'm going to hold on to the prenup thing. Now I have another reason why Freddie and I aren't going to work.
I think we are being edited in a deceptive way.
Okay.
I think what he said was probably, it was probably part of a larger conversation where he said, I need to know that if something happens to me, I want to leave my money and my funeral home to my sister who will be caring for Jack. Because he talked a lot about that in the pods, that if something happened to his parents, it was down to him to take care of Jack or Betsy Lou or whatever the fuck his name was. And so he was like, Betsy Dora? I think
Betsy Dora, I think it's it, yeah.
And so I think that was part of it. And that sounds very different than, I don't want you to have my money if something happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like if Timmy said that to me when we were getting married, like, oh, by the way, I have this, business that I own and I need to care. I need to leave it to my family to care for my brother. I would be like, okay, great. I love that about you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if we're being edited in a deceitful way here. But then
I think that conversation between Kat and her two friends would be a little different too.
Right. But I don't think Kat understands. I don't think Kat is like, I think Kat just sees it very black and white. Like, he doesn't trust me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or it's kind of like ding, a check, something. Because Kat right now, the minute she heard that he once cheated, again, I think a lot of these people come onto the show with this idea of, these things are bad. These things are good. This is who I have to look for. So the minute he said cheating, I think she's just been looking for things, looking for things to justify being able to say, I don't want to be with you. Because I think the cheating thing is so scary because she has not worked on herself.
And she can't be in a relationship where she doesn't have that upper hand.
Yeah.
When she's walking down the street with her boo, the heads need to be turning for her, not for him.
Interesting.
Yeah. So let's go to Ali and Demi, who, whoa.
Well, they recovered. I'm feeling better about them.
Yes.
I'm still unsure, but I feel better.
I feel so much better about him than I did. So we start off rough because these two have, Ali and Kat have a small chat when the couples first meet one another. And Demi is really jealous of this. Now, here's another ding against Kat. Because this is so stupid. Supposedly she's upset because Ali went back to the quarters and told the men that he broke it off with her. Who cares? Who cares who broke it off with who? But like, she needs to clear the air because she doesn't want a lie spread about her. Like, it's so weird. Ali clearly doesn't care. He's like, okay, whatever. Yeah, I said the wrong thing. Like, it's fine. I'll stand up right now and say you dumped me. I don't care.
Yeah. What? Yeah, that whole thing. But her, you have to. That's the thing is she and Demi were good friends in the pods. Like, this is a friend of yours, and now they're dating. You can see there's some sort of tension. But Kat, it's like she can't see it. She cannot see, like, you're going to ruin this friendship. What are you doing? And she goes right in and just.
It's so weird. Yeah. And the next day we see Ali and Demi together, and he tells her, and I thought he handled this well. He says to her, you are allowed to feel the way you felt. You're allowed to feel jealous. You're allowed to feel. And he says to her, I just want you to hear me that you are the one for me. And I understand why you felt that way, but it's not a thing.
Yeah.
At the next mixer, Ali is grilled by Jasmine, who just can't let this go. How do you feel about her? How do you feel about her? How do you feel about her? I was like,
I think Jasmine was a little drunk.
I do too.
Yeah, I think she was drinking, and I don't think she would have acted like this if she wasn't so drunk. But I think
Bobby's like,
yeah, Bobby's out.
So he starts freaking out. He says he wants to leave. Ironically, at the same time, Kat and Demi are chatting, and Demi's like singing Ollie's praises. And this is something I'm glad to hear Demi say. Like, she keeps saying over and over again, like, how I'm acting and feeling is not a reflection on Ollie. He has made me feel secure. He has made me, like, she keeps saying that. And I thought that was like, these people have an emotional maturity we don't see on the American version. I'm just going to say that.
We have a lot. There are a lot more of that. And I think people have to stop and think for themselves. I don't know if you've ever, when you and Timmy are out about in the world, have you ever run into one of your exes? But it's kind of.
We ran into my ex-husband.
Oh God. So it's awkward. It's weird. Awkward. Like it's always awkward. A little bit like, oh, hi, this is this person. And you kind of are in this weird space and no one really knows how to act. So you have to think about it. Like, these people were intensely dating each other for a couple weeks. This is 4 days later. So obviously everyone's a little on edge. A little bit like, this is weird. This is weird.
Yeah. You had to, like, the people that you had to dump, so to speak, are like right there.
Yes. And that you said, that you really liked and you were really, you were very close to picking. It's like,
that's a good point. That's a good point. So he tells the camera, like, this is not his vibe. He likes to be alone. And she says, when we're alone, he's great. And I also have a note here. I don't know why. He's vegan. Okay. So, I know why. Because later they get home and they're hosting her friends.
The vegan nachos.
And he makes vegan nachos, And her friends are lovely.
Yeah.
They really like Ollie a lot.
Yeah.
I wrote, these two have really good open communication.
Mm-hmm.
He says later they're sitting on the couch and he confides in her that he has ADHD, which is attention deficit
hyperactivity disorder.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that he gets overwhelmed easily.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't really tell a lot of people. I'm like, well, you told the whole world now. Dude.
Yeah. The other thing, too, is what I don't understand is, and I say this to all my ADHD clients, why are you all so ashamed? Like,
it's just becoming more and more common. So,
but the other thing, too, is just for everyone listening, if you have ADHD, you technically are much smarter than the rest of us. People with ADHD and ADD brains are more intelligent. You just think slightly differently. And therefore,
yeah.
But I'm constantly, I understand that there's such shame around schooling and the way in which you were treated and all of that. But I'm really surprised that this would be something that Ollie would feel like, I can't share that with people.
So this would be part of neurodivergency, right?
Yes. Yeah. They're neurodivergent.
So I do think that we are changing the way that people look at that. Hopefully.
For sure.
But, he's 30? So he probably did not experience that kind of shift in narrative in school. He was probably othered or, separated in some way. And
yeah, I don't know what the
or misdiagnosed or not diagnosed. Yeah. So he didn't know. So she says the most perfect answer to him. Like she says to him, I love who you are. I love how you think. It makes you beautiful that you have this. And it's so lovely. I love her so much. She's one of my favorite people on the show. So at the reunion mixer with the singles, they're super tight. They're kissing. They're this, they're that. This fucking Charlotte walks in and Ollie's like, whoa. And somebody, I forget who asked him, like, dude, what do you think of Charlotte? And he's like, she's smoking hot. But I love Demi and no one can take that away from me right now. So I was happy with that. He meets her family. They go bowling. Her family is fantastic.
They were great. Yeah.
She cries at her dress fitting about how she used to be so obsessed with her body size and her mother is so lovely to her. And she tells her mother that her mother and her father have set a great example of what true love is. And so we leave them in a really good place.
Yeah. I really do hope these two work out. It's interesting because the both of them are very insecure about these things that they think the other person's not going to like, but the other person's like, no, I like everything about you. So it's like, why can't you trust that? It's just people are having a hard time trusting that what this person is saying is real or true.
You know what's interesting? And Jasmine and Bobby hit on it later. I've never really dated when social media was a thing. So
oh yes, I had a lot of feelings about this.
Yeah, I wonder how socially that has changed.
I can't even tell you. It's a mess. Yeah. I can't even.
Right. Yeah. Let's go to Steven and Sabrina, who are real quick because they have no problem.
Yes. They are. They're a gimme, right?
I love them.
Even the things that the previews made it look like, oh no, we're
they're fine. Big deal. They're fine. She is stunning. I think she is just such a natural beauty. And I think he is really hot too.
Yeah, I think they're both super cute. Yes.
So I wrote, they seem fine. The biggest hurdle they have is that they don't seem to want to be in a hurry to live together, which we've seen this before.
Yes.
And they ride horses on the beach. They go to visit Ireland. She meets his bros. They're stunned, but they like her. He meets her mom and sisters. It goes well. They're lovely to him. Mom invites him into the family. And I wrote, they're going to be Mr. and Mrs. Smith because that's his name.
Oh, interesting. Yes.
Okay. Tom and Maria. I'm saving my man, Benaya, for the end.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So let's go to Tom and Maria. Okay. I have decided I go back and forth on Tom because I thought I was attracted to him. But then I'm like, is he a grade D Bond villain?
Oh,
he's got that little mustache and he kind of talks with a sneer that makes him sound like he might be up to no good.
Somewhere around episode 7, his voice started to really grate on me. I love all the accents.
He mumbles like, brr, brr, brr.
Kind of, but also the way I don't know, just the bass of it and the way it sounds. I don't know. I just was not enjoying it.
I did think he was really hot though.
No,
But
I
then
think
you're
he
right.
is cute.
Episode 7 or 8, I'm like, not into this guy.
Yeah, well, their big issue is around, again, money, but they both have some weird things going on here that
they
I'm
do.
like, what's happening?
So in episode 5, Tom is the one that starts the whole Ollie told us he broke up with Kat. That whole rumor, which is stupid. In episode 6, we see them gossiping again. Tom asks Maria, when people see us, do they think we go well together? He's already having doubts. He has a ton of doubts about this. At the end of 6, they have a little tiff where she says he's on his phone a lot, and it derails into a conversation about judging people on what they do. And she asks him, did you judge me when you heard I was a makeup artist? And he says, honestly, yeah, I did. He said, I thought you might have been superficial. Which, okay.
I mean, I would give him that. I don't, if he hasn't spent a lot of time with other makeup artists, I can see how.
Yeah, you might not appreciate it as a form of art and think it's more. Yeah. So he says he wants to live a big life and be ambitious. And he says, yeah, I can be judgy, but isn't employment like usually a deal breaker? And she's like, no. Okay, Maria, spoken like someone who hasn't dated a bunch of jobless losers like I have.
Well, but at the same time, you're pissed when he's not paying for ice cream. Right. I mean, you can't exactly have it both ways. And that's the other thing too, is, people, right? There's that song, like, I want a man who's 6'2" in finance, this kind of like, the reality is you are not going to be able, some guy who is a hard charging, works in finance, alpha male, like ambitious, driven, isn't going to be that same person that's going to go to the soccer games all the time, or can go to the soccer. He might want to go to the soccer games, but he can't go to the soccer games. I mean, I've had this with clients over the years where, they'd be like, oh my God, my dad, he just never worked that much and he was always around and I kind of felt like he was a loser. But then they would tell me about how he coached their baseball league and did all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, life's a trade-off. You can't have it both ways. And that's and Maria and Tom both seem to want to have everything all the time.
Yeah, it's weird. And I did not see this coming. I'll be honest with you.
I didn't either. I didn't think that would happen.
So she basically gets over it and he meets her family. They're Muslim. He's very respectful of what Maria tells him, like no PDA, etc. She says there's still a lot of emotion over the dad. At one point when he meets the family, he's in the kitchen with the sister and she tears up over the dad. Now, remember, the dad was dying and he went somewhere. I forget where he went. Morocco?
He went back home.
So he went to Morocco to say goodbye to his extended family or whatever and never made it back. So that pain is fresh.
That is. It really is. And which is understandable. It's only been a couple years.
Totally understandable. And it's interesting when the sister tears up that she kind of turns away from Tom and you could tell he doesn't know what to do. But his instinct, and this is what I think is a check in his plus column. His instinct is to comfort her in some way. So he like puts his hand on her. Do you know what I mean? But he also probably is aware culturally he shouldn't be too touchy feely. So he
and you just met this person, so
So at the mixer now, he tells Benaya about this situation that arose that we did not see on camera, and apparently they went out to eat twice and he paid the first time and the second time she offered to pay and we learned later it was for ice cream.
Yes. So
and he let her, didn't think it was a big deal, and then she's mad about it because he let her.
Yeah, it's like, well then don't offer. Don't reach. Don't if that's how you feel about it. Well, I'm very curious about this because I've always gone back and forth about this whole money thing and men and paying for things and not paying for things. I definitely think that that there is something about a man sort of taking care of you, taking care of things on the first date. And I'm a big believer that like if you need to, for men, you need to plan a date that you can afford. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like women don't want, we don't need something extravagant. It's just more of don't take us to some fancy restaurant and then want us to pick up half the check. It's a little bit like you plan this, not me, you know? So I don't know. How do you feel about all that? Because there's some women that I know who very much like if that man is not reaching for every single check in the beginning, they are out.
I mean, Timmy and I started dating. We were both so poor. So we just kind of split things. And I'm talking
Yeah.
like our first date, we went to Panera. So that's how poor we were. And I think we split the bill. Like, so
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I've never dated anyone who's had money, and I've never had money.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And it never would occur to me to make a man pay for everything. That just wouldn't occur to me.
I don't think I would make him pay for everything. I think if he earned like 10 times or
Yes,
20 times what I earned, I think I'd be like, okay, I'll pay for ice cream.
That much, I would feel like I would pay.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like, I don't tie it necessarily to gender. I tie it to ability. Like whoever can pay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey everyone, stay tuned. Little Miss Recap will be right back after these words. Now Tosh shows up at the mixer. And they have a talk, and he's flirting with her.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And he didn't expect Tosh to look like that.
No, and he floats the we're not doing so good. We don't know if we're gonna say yes.
Yes. Yeah. He's laying some groundwork here.
This is his Bond villain side here. Yeah. And she's like, well, I really did love you. And they have this like intense conversation. The next day he tells Maria, oh yeah, I talked to Tosh, and she dropped the big L bomb on me. And Maria's like, what? She said she loved you like last night?
Yeah.
She was like pissed. So now Tom's sisters come over because his parents are not into this. So we're not going to meet his parents at all.
Yes.
And these sisters are his half sisters. And he has made a delicious pasta bake with shells, and it looks like sun-dried tomatoes and spinach, and it looks delicious.
Yeah. I think I'd want that more than the vegan nachos. I'm still a little unsure about what vegan nachos are. There's no cheese?
To me, there's no cheese, and that's a deal breaker.
Yeah. That's really the glue. I'm sorry, literally, figuratively, of nachos.
I could do the vegetarian.
Yes, of course. Of course. But I'm sorry, but nachos are chips and cheese. If you don't have one half of it. Anyway, that's
unless they use some form of vegan cheese, which is just
and some of it can be good. Like I like cashew cheese, but you have to use it sparingly. Again, you're really like nachos are the most basic form of food.
God, I love nachos.
I
love a good nacho.
Yeah.
I really do. So they talk about their disagreements, and Tom keeps saying, like, he keeps doing this thing where he's like, oh yeah, we've had some disagreements and they're big. Like he keeps making this. He's telling anyone who will listen that they're struggling.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel genuine.
Because I kept kind of watching Maria and I'm like, what does Maria think's going on here? Because just even the way that whole Tosh thing where he says, oh, she dropped the L word on me or what, it's like, no, what she really said is, I had love for you. I loved you. It was past tense in that moment, in that time. I don't think that she was running and going, I'm still in love with you, Tom.
Well, she did say, and that doesn't just go away. She did say that.
I think but I think but again, I think it's what he's hearing.
To that former statement. Yes.
Again, but then you're going back to this person that you're supposed to be marrying. So don't you find a kinder or different way? It's like, well, someone loves me, Maria. That's what it felt like to me.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Let me just poke you a little bit here.
Then they have this conversation where they talk about Maria moving in. And she's like, I don't like the idea of paying someone else's mortgage. And she basically says, what if we're together 5 years? Do I have equity in your apartment then? Because I've helped you pay your mortgage. I think she wants to move in and not pay for anything.
Yeah, this whole thing is so odd because there was remember in the pods where she said something about not wanting to work. And then that really tricked that he like stood up a little bit and she was like, well, let me clarify. I mean, I don't really want to work the first couple years of
having kids or whatever.
Of having kids. Yeah. And I think this is a bit of this disconnect with I think I could be wrong, but the Muslim culture, I think that she really wants him I think she wants a more traditional marriage than she's really letting on, which I don't think is a bad thing by any means.
Right. And culturally, that's probably more aligned with her values. Yeah.
Yes. That is because I've worked with clients like this where it's very much, it's part of the culture. It's the expectations of what you're going to do. And this is my part and this is your part. And so much of it is tied around family and what your family expects of you and religion. Like it's so layered. And it's one of those things where, I always think about the pods as sort of a job interview. You ever been at a job interview and the person's telling you a bunch of stuff and you're like, oh, I can handle that. Oh, I can handle that.
Yeah.
But in the back of your mind, you're like, I think I'm not going to like this, but
Yeah.
I'm so desperate to get the job, or I need money. So you tell them I'll agree to all this stuff. And then you get into the job and you're like, oh, this sucks. Like, why did I agree to all this? I kind of feel like this is what's happening with these two. Like, they were really saying some stuff to each other in the pods that was a big deal. Like, really, really. I mean, this is not about where you're going to live. This is your religion. This is your identity. This is right. Like, this is a core of who you are.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I had forgotten all about that she didn't want to work. Well, the sisters like her, but Tom tells the camera there are a ton of hurdles here around our values and our finances.
Yeah. I think with Tom, I think that he's an ambitious person. I think he would like someone who is just as ambitious as he is.
Yeah.
And I think he saw himself always marrying someone who's maybe a bit more hard charging, like, career. And I think obviously he's fearful that he's, is the money always going to have to be on me? Am I always going to have to be the breadwinner?
I think he might be a little bougie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's way bougie.
He's going to be like Kat would be a better match for him because she could live the bougie lifestyle with him.
Yeah. But
and she'd like it.
Yeah.
What does Kat do for a living?
She's a dental assistant. That's the other thing. Dental nurse, but she lives at home.
Oh, right.
And
so that's saving her money.
Yeah. I mean, but again, it's interesting. But so what do you think about Maria and the mortgage? Because I don't think Maria's necessarily completely wrong about this, but it's a little bit of, but if you're married,
that house,
what does that matter?
You have a prenup, that house is half yours when you get divorced. I don't know what UK law is, right? But here, in most states, that house would be half hers regardless.
Yeah.
So why not put money into it and help pay it off?
Yeah.
Or just say, you know what? Like, you pay the mortgage, I'll pay the utilities, and I'll pay for groceries. Like, just come up with something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But then, right, if he's going to pay the mortgage, then, I guess you won't get it in the settlement. I don't know. It's just a lot of this is,
I've never had this situation again because I've never had money. But to me, it would be like, these are all our living expenses. Let's put them in a big pot and just divide that. And if he makes 5 times what she makes, obviously her chunk is going to be smaller.
Yeah.
Like, that's only fair.
Yeah. And that's what I think that's what most people do that. I again, I've worked with a lot of different couples and everyone has their money stuff. And, but the worst thing that you can do right in a marriage or a relationship is focus too much on what the other person's doing. Like, I'm doing all this, I'm contributing all this, you're only contributing that. And it's like, then this marriage is not going to work because it's the money, time, energy, all of it. It's like a giant pot and you just have to trust that if you're with someone who loves and cares about you, it will all be even at the end.
Yeah, I agree.
It'll be okay.
I agree. Absolutely. Yeah. So let's scoot on over to Bobby and Jasmine. These two did not get a lot of airtime.
No, because there's nothing besides her mother.
Oh, whoa.
Poor Bobby was just
if Bobby says no, that's why. 100%. That mother, she is going to be a nightmare as a mother-in-law.
Yes.
You can't tell if you have any secrets, you have to tell me all of them. I'm your best friend. I'm your best friend. Whoa. Was all your therapist's spidey sense just bing, 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 bing?
Yeah. Jesus. I mean, some of it is that. I also think that she's a single mom, right? She raised Jasmine by herself?
I believe so. And she says she's been through 2 divorces and she doesn't like men. She doesn't trust men.
Yeah. I think she is it's interesting because I think that on the one hand, yes, all of the things she said are like ding, 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 ding. But at the same time, I do wonder if she's just blunt. She does not sugarcoat things about things.
No, she doesn't.
She does not sugarcoat. She's very direct, very blunt. So it's sort of like, okay, I'm hearing all this now. And when she says like, I am your best friend, I think that it's her way of saying, I still want to remain close with you.
Yeah.
I think she just doesn't know how to communicate. So it all comes out like this. And obviously Jasmine being a mental health nurse, I think probably understands her mom and kind of gets like, listen, mom,
you can see her in the moment, like trying to set up boundaries.
Yes, yes.
And my daughter said the most beautiful thing to me the other day. we were talking about, she's at the age where she's like starting to go to parties and stuff like that. And like, I'm a nervous wreck about it. And I've been talking to my daughters for as long as they have been appropriately aged about sexual assault, drinking, binge drinking, all of that stuff. And so the other day we were like fighting about, she wanted to go to a party. I didn't want her to go, whatever. And I said, I just get so nervous. Anything can happen. And she said to me, everything you've been through and everything you've told me, I carry that with me. And I go into situations and I have that with me. And I was like, oh my God, I have to trust that so what I want to say to Jasmine's mother is Jasmine saw you hurt and saw your pain and knows how you feel. And she carries that with her. Don't worry about it. It's there.
Yes.
You don't need to constantly be being like, don't trust men. Don't trust men. Remember, I told you, don't trust men. Da, da, da. Like she knows. We all carry the experiences that our mothers had with us, if we know about them.
Or not. I mean, listen, we know a lot more about generational trauma and how it impacts us and how it gets passed down from generation to generation. But the other thing that I think is so funny when you're talking about this, what you're talking to your daughters about, because my son, who's like, doesn't go anywhere or do anything.
Yeah.
I know just we're such a Gen X where like very early on, you talk about sex early, you talk about various things, but there's this point of like, if anyone touches you and it's inappropriate, and I remember somewhere around, like he went to the doctor's office or something at like 12 or 13. I think my husband took him and he was like, and I was like, well, we were having this conversation about how I was concerned, like, did they take you into another room to talk to you about like, if something was going on or whatever. And he's like, Mom, it's fine. I'm not being touched. Like, I'm okay, Mom. Like, no one is touching me. No one is doing anything. He's like, I got it. I know. My body's my own.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I guess it really hammered this home a lot.
We never had that voice or autonomy over our bodies.
Yes.
And so we are, as a generation, I think that's a generational thing where we don't trust the situations. And we're always like our doctor who would give my girls their exams, she would always say to me right in front of my kids, okay, Dr. Walsh is going to give you an exam. I'm going to touch your belly. I'm going to, whatever. I'm asking your mom for permission. I'm asking you for permission. No one should ever do this without asking your mom for permission.
Another like Gen Xer.
Yes, it was this whole thing. And I was like, I just loved it. I was like, okay, yes. So anyway, okay, these guys, Bobby and Jasmine, they go to the mixer and grease, and then they hop in bed and they have their little makeup masks on and they're just gossiping.
Yeah.
These two love to gossip. It's really cute. And the next mixer, Jasmine reads Ollie Fulfilled, like I said, and Bobby's trying to intervene. And he's like, Jasmine, lay off. Okay, now they get home. They're talking about social media. And she basically says, like, Firecracker Jasmine will burn your house to the ground if I get you on social media misbehaving. She finds his music video.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. I almost forgot about that music video. Oh, my Lord. I think I blocked it out.
Find it. It's called Body of a Dancer by Bobby J.
And
it's basically like you see in all these videos where they're like in a waterfall. And
it's every cheesy cliche of a music video, like waterfall, and we're in bikinis and we're out and we're kissing each other, we're making out on the beach and in the water, and it's very basic. There's nothing original or interesting about it.
No.
It's kind of like, who was
swipe right on your face on Tinder, DM'd you, ask what you're into. You said the man to put a ring on the finger. First date, boatyard.
Okay, couple questions.
Did he mention Tinder in that?
Yes, and putting a ring on your finger.
On the finger. Who was the guy that was with baby girl Lisa?
Usman.
It's like Usman's music.
Yeah. It's also like Baby Chicken or Chicken Love or My Chicken. Jose and Louise from. Do you watch 90 Day UK?
I think I stopped maybe around Baby Girl Lisa. So sorry. I forgot that. Yeah.
So she's like, you're making out with this model. You're like touching her. Like, she's basically saying to him without saying it, this shit stops now.
Yes.
You're not going to the waterfall with Baby Girl Lisa on my watch. Not happening. So he says, well, he kind of smirks and goes, I knew you'd find it. And then he goes, that was a few years ago, blah, blah, blah. So she tells him, like, I've been in relationships where I've had to just constantly watch someone's social media, and I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I don't want to do it. He reassures her.
Can I just say something? This is because I too married my husband before all of this, and we're both Gen Xers. So, the one thing is I'm not very good at like hunting people down.
Yeah.
But this social media thing, it is so huge. And I cannot tell you all the times that I have these clients that'll be like, and then I saw his social media, and then he liked this girl and he followed her. And then I called him up and I yelled at him and I said, why are you following this girl? And then he did that. I'm like, all over one person that you're following. And then some rando will call them up and say, I was with your man and I was doing this. I'm like, this is exhausting. And it's
exhausting. I could never do it.
But I mean, it's again, I think it's healthy. People are going to deal with social media in a really healthy way. But my God, you give that to a bunch of 20 some odd year olds that don't have any emotional maturity. They are just winding each other up over who's following someone.
Well, you know what it is too? No? It's like, when we dated, you dated somebody like from your town, you dated somebody from your school, maybe college, Now there are endless options.
Yeah.
Endless.
It's true.
I don't know what that does to somebody. You know what I mean? I think if I were to ever date again, if Timmy left me and I were to date again, first of all, Amanda would have to like sit on me constantly so that I'm not like running off marrying prisoners. But I think I would just like marry someone who's off the grid, like date somebody who's off the grid, because I don't know if I can handle this. I'd be like, is that Darcy Silva in your inbox? What's going on?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have the meeting with the mother. And like I said, she's preparing Bobby for this, saying my mom's like an MI5 agent. Like this is bad.
Yes.
Mom is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous. You see where Jasmine gets
Oh, yeah. I mean, for sure.
Did you see that study that came out? Was it yesterday or the day before that said we age rapidly in two bursts?
Oh.
One is at 44 and one is at 60.
Meaning what? Like all of a sudden,
I guess
collagen and all of that.
Like I guess those are the two markers of when you age the most.
Well, I've surpassed one of them.
I've surpassed one.
Oh God, I got to look forward to the 61. Great.
So mom is grilling him. She grills him on his background. How many girlfriends have you had? She grills him on his education. When he says he didn't finish university, she says it's difficult to communicate with an uneducated person.
Yes.
Whoa. That's a horrible thing to say.
Yes. And again, I think that's what mom, I don't think this is mom's complete intention to be so insulting. But again, I think what she's really saying is, I'm concerned that my daughter isn't, are you going to be able to intellectually stimulate my daughter,
Sure.
or are you going to be able to earn a living? Or are you going to be able to do these things? Right.
And then I just have a note that mom's been through 2 failed marriages and has no trauma at all over that. I mean, she seems just fine. She tells Jasmine, if you have secrets, you need to tell me. I'm your friend. I'm your best friend. I'm your only friend. Jasmine says, I can't tell you everything anymore, Mom. And Mom is like, no, you have to. And then Mom says to Bobby, be very loyal and don't ever lie to me. And Bobby's just like, ooh.
Yeah.
So they do their last date on the London Eye. He professes his love for her. She says she said this in the beginning, that he's not her type, but she loves how he makes her feel, and he makes her feel very safe. She's got the upper hand in this relationship.
Yeah.
And she's enjoying it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. My man, Benaya.
This whole thing. I was happy. I was sad. I was nervous. I've gone through a range of feelings with these two. I'm so worried.
There's a lot of stuff that I found really refreshing about this. So if we think back to the Zach and Bliss situation, Bliss did not easily forgive Zach. She made him work for it. Remember? I feel like Benaya came into this with a different attitude.
Do you feel like Benaya should have made her work a little bit harder?
No, I thought it was refreshing because he
okay.
comes in and he apologizes, or she apologizes, and he tells her, you don't need to apologize. And then he says to her, I'm sorry that I wasn't as emotionally open, because she's very smart when she issues her apology. And she says, one of the reasons I chose Sam is because I didn't feel like you were returning emotionally to me what I was giving to you.
Yes.
And that was important.
Mm-hmm.
And, he says, I was not open. And he says, I lost you once, I won't lose you again. And I'm like, oh my God. And he makes her stand up and he proposes to her, but there's no ring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so later we get that. They drop into the mixer. And remember I said to you last episode, like, I always watch how other people react.
Mm-hmm.
When Benaya comes in, those men are so happy to see him.
Oh my God. Okay. Sorry. We're at Greece. I'm thinking of a different mixer.
No, sorry, we're at Greece.
Yes. I mean, the way in which they greeted him, like they were so thrilled to see him. He was like in the middle of a giant 6-man bear hug.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm punching above my weight. I'm so happy to have her. And even all the women are like, oh, thank God. She was meant to be with Benaya, this Sam douchebag. Like, so they're taking things physically slow. And she's, telling him that she was not intimate until her 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So she doesn't like to rush that kind of stuff. Although Sam has a different story.
Yeah. This whole, I might need to talk about this because I was very confused about what's okay.
So we meet Nicole's parents. They're lovely. Nicole and Benaya have prepared Lebanese food, which looks absolutely delicious. They approve of Benaya. And all right, so now we're going to have the mixer and the Nicole and Sam conversation.
Yes.
He says to her, I proposed to you for a reason. So first of all, he's very frenetic, right? Everything's like, blah, 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 blah. Like there's an energy about him that I just want to be like, take a gummy, dude. Like slow down.
I really think Sam prepared for all of this.
Or he's on coke.
What?
Or he's on coke.
That too, maybe. But I really get the sense of that he really, I think he's been watched all these episodes in these other countries. Yes. And I think he was like, okay, so now that I'm out, I'm going to come back to this mixer party.
Yep.
So I need to be like this, this, and this. I think he thinks a lot about.
You're right. And I'm going to redeem myself in these ways.
In this mixer.
Yep.
Here I go.
So he says, I proposed to you for a reason, and I need to know if I was misled. And she very smartly says, in the pods, I felt like I loved you at that time. In the pods, she keeps saying it. In the pods, I felt like I made the right decision. She said, but we just weren't right. And she says, it wasn't what I felt like I needed. And he goes, yeah, I remember you wanted to be physical with me that night. And I said, no. And was that the problem? Was that the problem? And she's like, no, that wasn't the problem. I just think we express love in different ways. And I'm more of a physical touch person. And so I need your thoughts on what you think went down in this day or two that they were together.
I think that, and again, I don't know if she really, I think even in the pods, I think it was after the proposal that she knew it was wrong. So she keeps saying in the pods. I think it was like after the proposal. That's a different story.
I agree with you.
When those doors opened and she saw him, she was already kind of on the edge of where she was. But I think probably what happened was that I think that Sam probably, if he's going to get into bed with a woman, I think there's always sex. I think that's where he goes. And I think that she was very much in this place of, okay, maybe try it. Let me see if there's chemistry. Let me see if I can make this work. And she probably wanted to like cuddle and maybe kiss and cuddle and hug and do this kind of stuff.
Very good point. Yes, that's a very good point. Because we just had her saying to Benaya, I don't like to have sex with people, willy-nilly. Like I take my time with that stuff. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that. And he's just framing it as getting physical.
Yes. And he's probably like, oh yeah, if I didn't stop her, she would want to be all over me. And I think it's like, no, I think that's, or maybe they were making out or something. And he's like, no, we can't. He's the one he decided before he even got to the show, oh, I'm not going to get physical with this person right away because I'm going to show them that I care about them. Like, I think he's plotted all of this out.
So she says to him, like in reference to wanting to get physical, that was a way for me to see what was between us.
Yes. Yes.
And he says, oh, Tess, this makes so much sense now. Because she says to him, like, because I was confused why she said my love language is physical touch. And I was like, So are you saying you did want to sleep with him, but she probably wanted to cuddle or to just be
Yes.
affectionate, and he couldn't do it because he only sees sex?
Yes, exactly.
So
Or
he-
that she wants him.
Yeah,
Of course
and
she wants him. Of
He
course.
keeps repeating, "Oh, is this because I didn't want to be physical with you? Is this because I didn't want to be physical with you?"
Mm-hmm.
She gives him back his ring and bracelet, and at first he won't take it back. And she's like, no, you take it.
Yeah.
And he fake cries. He Robin
Uh-huh.
Browns. Oh, I'm getting so emotional. And she has to crane her neck like this to look at him. He is so fucking tall compared to her.
Well, the other thing is, how tiny is Nicole?
She's tiny.
She
'Cause
has
even
got
when
to
she
be
gets
5 feet tall.
Yeah, when she hey, I'm 5 feet tall.
No, I'm just saying she's tiny because like Sam is tall, like Benaya's tall, like
I'm
everybody's
5'1".
tall.
When she tries her wedding dress on later, she is much smaller than the woman who walks her out in the wedding dress. I'm thinking she's probably 4'11", maybe 5 foot.
Wow,
Yeah.
she's that tiny.
She's tiny.
Okay.
So she wonders if, Sam is just quite misunderstood. No, we all understand him pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And he says everything happens for a reason. And he's like, I'm genuinely happy for you. And you could tell she is at this place where she's just like, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be done with you. It's fine.
Yeah.
And she comes
but
back.
I also think, I'm wondering if unconsciously or consciously, she is saying Sam is misunderstood in order to justify why she picked him in the first place.
There could be some of that because I remember when I first got divorced. And so Nicole is how old?
29.
Yes. So I was 27 when I got divorced. No, maybe 26. I think I was actually 26. But I remember you do feel like you have failed. There is so much shame around it. Mm-hmm. And there might not have been enough time for her to completely work through that shame yet and realize that a failed marriage isn't shameful. It just happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's probably like, oh, here again, I picked the wrong fucking one again. And I have to make this better. So she runs over to Benaya now and she's like, oh, it was fine. It was fine. He's a good guy. I just wished him the. Benaya's like, what? He's a good guy? What? And she says, what we had in the pod was real. And he's like, what? He is not taking the right approach.
Yeah. Oh, this is where Benaya was kind of losing his mind.
He's making her feel worse. Now, they did show that Benaya kept going to that bar and refill. So I think they're trying to tell us he was drunk.
Yeah.
Okay. So he confronts Sam now and he says, you're disingenuous, dude. And Sam's like, whatever. And Sam says, it's surprising for me to see you like this, dude. You just sound bitter. And he tells Benaya that they had an amazing connection in the pod, and Nicole even admitted it tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, did she tell you she wanted to bang me? Benaya just laughs in his face, which was brilliant.
Yeah.
However, then he comes inside, and he does a real sad collapse on the jukebox, and it was hot. Nah, I'm just going to leave that there. He's like, ugh. And just right on the jukebox. I was like, okay, all right, I can get into this. I think
Benaya is someone who's all about fair and what is right. And I think it's very hard for him to sit with this discomfort of that Nicole might feel differently about Sam, that she might have a different experience, that he wants things to be very black and white. And it's a little bit like, you got her, Benaya. Enough, got it. She's just not, and Nicole is not going to disparage him on television. I mean, she just isn't. That's
she's just not that person.
I get too.
Right.
Yeah. I think she's always going to kind of maintain a little bit of class here and not do that. And he's not thinking through a little bit about what's happening here.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. So they meet his mom and his sister, and he says after the pods, he went to Germany and his mom and sister saw him really devastated. I wrote, what is the timeline here? He went to Germany for how long? A day before they called him back to London to walk into the coffee shop and then get them to Greece?
These are much closer together. I mean, it's closer. It's like states here, right? I mean, I think we think with Europe, right?
It had to have been like a day.
Probably. I mean, it might have been a couple days. It sounds like with Nicole and Sam that they did spend, because I got the sense that she was just like the minute she saw him, she realized like, oh crap, I'm not going on a plane with him. But it's almost kind of like she said, can we not go to Greece? Let's stay here. And that was much longer than we thought.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think maybe they had 2 days in Greece.
Yes.
That was it.
Yes.
So they talk about how upset he was, the mom and the sister. And Nicole owns it. She's like, look, I want to apologize here. Like, I have a bad picker and it just happened. And mom and sis seem to be on board. But Benaya goes out onto the balcony with his lovely mother and they have a conversation. And inside, the sister's talking to Nicole. And she does say, like, he is a bit of a nomad and we never know when he'll come back around. And, you know, people want him to settle down, but this is his lifestyle. Now, remember in the pods, Nicole was like, oh, I'm all into van life with you. Like, I want to do this too. So I don't think she has a problem with that. I think she wants to go.
Yeah.
So later they have their last date on the barge and they talk about her previous marriage. And he says, your views on marriage should stay connected to the person, not the institution of marriage.
He's absolutely right.
And she's telling the camera, he is so committed to our growth. And I'm like, oh my God, do we have a cult leader? I think he could be a cult leader.
He could if he was a different kind of person.
I'd be in the cult.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is how it happens, Tess.
This is where it all starts.
They show up. He looks hot. He's talking about your growth. You're like, he needs to be a better person.
I have to say that, like, Benaya is not someone I would go for, but, like, I find him very cute from all of this. So, I mean, I guess I could. I really could.
Yeah.
I definitely could if I was 22. These days, I don't think I could really join a cult, but
I absolutely would have gotten sucked into him in my 30s. In my 20s, I would have picked Sam. In my 30s, I would have picked Benaya. And then now he's putting poetry on his Instagram.
Oh, I never follow any of these people. I guess I should go check it out.
Well, somebody drew my attention to it.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so the coming up, we see the bachelor parties, the bachelorette parties, hen parties, as they call them. Steven professes his love at the altar. Maria cries for her dad.
Yes.
Ollie is kind of having a breakdown. And we have a voiceover. And my closed captioning read the voiceover as Ollie's voice saying, I think we're just better as friends.
Yes. And I was like, oh, crap. But also that could be anything.
Yes. And Freddie's sister worries that he and Kat are on very different pages.
Yeah, which she's right.
That's it.
She is right.
Yeah.
All right. So do you want to did we do this last time? Predictions?
We need to do them again if we did.
Okay.
So let's get this straight. All right. Freddie and Catherine.
No.
Who says no, do you think?
Catherine. I think maybe I could see, I don't know if both of them respond. Whomever goes first, I think says no.
Okay. I agree with that. I think it's a no. Ollie and Demi.
I think they're a yes. I really do. I'm wondering, I think that might be a fake out.
We're being that sharp.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I believe it is. Yes.
Benaya and Nicole, I think yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I believe in their love. Steven and Sabrina, yes.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Bobby and Jasmine.
Yes. That's easy.
I think that's a yes too. And then Tom and Maria, I think it's a no.
No. I think it's Kat and Freddie, sorry. How could I forget my Freddie? Kat and Freddie and Maria and Tom. And then I would say that Demi and Ollie are a little bit on the edge. But the other three are solid. And they've never had that in the US. I mean, these are for the most part far more mature. And I think that's one thing that we're seeing is besides the Kat and the Sam pieces of things, they are all really mature. Oh, you know, one thing we didn't mention is Kat. Do you remember when Kat was talking to Sam and she was like, oh, what have you got there? And he's like, oh, I have my bracelet and this ring. And she starts comparing that ring with the ring that she has, saying that ring's better than her ring because I think the ring she has on now is really big. And I think she's too big or something. It's like, boy, you're really finding anything to just throw this guy under the bus, aren't you? Like, I don't like this ring. This is a better ring. I was just like, whoa.
What I'm afraid of is lest us never forget how we were burned with season, I want to say it was 3 maybe of Love is Blind, maybe 2, maybe season 2, with the season with Shane and Natalie.
That was season
Sal
2.
And Mal. And we were like, it was complete deceitful editing.
Yes.
Like they fed us this entire narrative and then at the altar completely flipped.
Yes.
I'm
yes.
afraid they're going to do that to us.
I feel like that was 2. If not, it was 3. But I think that was a moment with Love is Blind that people were pissed.
People were pissed.
People
and
were
I
like,
think they
what
learned
is
from
going?
it.
Yeah. I think like, what's going on here? You can't make us think one thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. Those were the Shane.
It turned out they had
having
this like huge fight off camera
my
that we
God,
never saw.
Yeah, but like a goddamn meltdown
Mhm,
of stuff.
mhm.
And then like Mal and Sal are just like, they don't even talk to each other
I
or
know.
like each other.
I know.
Was that the same year as the veterinarian with the Indian couple? Dev.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
That really pretty girl.
Can I put you on my shoulders?
Yes.
That guy? That douchebag? What was his
that
name?
douche. I feel like that was season 2.
Natalie is the woman, right? No, not
Natalie was with Shane.
Okay, hold on. Love is Blind, season 2. Okay, we had oh God, I remember these people. Okay. All right, we had Iyanna and Jarrett.
Yes. Oh God.
Yeah.
And they got married and then divorced.
Yeah. Danielle and Nick.
Yes.
Remember she had the complete meltdown in the closet?
Yes. Married and divorced.
Yep. It was Deep D. And
Deep D.
the guy, what was his name? He was such a douchebag.
She was great. Deep D's awesome. And she and Natalie, I think. Shake.
Mm-hmm.
So Natalie and Deep D, I don't know. Do they still have their podcast?
Yeah.
So those two like skirted from marrying 2 douches.
Yes.
Like that's what we're working with over here on this side of the pond. Like this is what we're working with.
We also had Shayna and Kyle. Remember
that whole thing? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Shayna met someone else and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah. So could we be Love is Blind 2'd? Maybe. I don't know. Hopefully
it could be. I will be very upset with the UK. I don't like it.
Me too. Me too.
Anyway. So.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Tell us real quick, plug your show. What are you guys doing?
Psych Legal Pop. So we cover sister wives like Amye does as well. And on every Tuesday and then on Thursdays, we usually do some kind of this week it was Dirty Pop, some kind of documentary, Netflix, something. We're going to be covering some cult stuff coming up, and we've got Scott Peterson who's back around again.
Jesus Christ!
I know that guy is but he is utterly fascinating.
Yeah.
And then we also have Patreon, so you can go to patreon.com/Psych Legal Pop.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Little Miss Recap. If you'd like to support the show, please consider joining us on Patreon, Supercast, or Apple subscriptions. Leave a review, share with friends. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.